You're listening to The Hurt Locker, the podcast that opens the door on men's mental health. And for tonight's guest, we've got Ryan Harland. Ryan, welcome to The Hurt Locker.
Thank you for having me, Yinka. I'm looking forward to this one.
Good. I don't know if you've listened to many of our shows before, but generally I invite people. No, I basically tell people, the listeners, who the person is, but I'm just going to switch it today. And for the benefit of our listeners, who is Ryan Harland?
I am a motivational and inspirational speaker. I'm an author, and I go around telling my story and my journey of sexual abuse as a teenager, how I struggled with mental health and how I turned it around to be the person I am today.
Thank you. I flinched a little bit there then, you know. I started having a few questions straight away. Welcome to The Hurt Locker. It's a safe space. And we can go anywhere you want. Okay. The reason why I flinched right at the beginning was usually when working in the area of mental health and working with trauma, etc., you generally understand or know, or it's more common that sexual abuse will start very young, as it were, because kids can't speak or they can't articulate what's going on. I flinched because you said in your teenage years, that's when it started for you. Have I understood that correctly?
Yeah, that was the catalyst of a string of events. The perpetrator was, it's the only time I'm going to say this, in my book I refer to him as sperm donor SD, but it was my father. So it was a build-up before that point of actually doing the abuse. It was a lot of psychological and mental control to me, my brother and my mum. So that was the kind of breaking point that sent me down a road of destruction for many years, to be honest.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Where would you like to start?
Wherever, I'm an open book. I put myself out there, no holds barred, and I don't hold anything back, just so other people know that if I can be 100% honest with everything going on and be upfront and own it and deal with it, then someone else can as well. I think that if I hold something back, then I'm not being true to myself and not showing everyone else how to be open and honest with what they've been through and that.
Okay, let's flip this a little bit and let me ask you, where are you today with your mental health?
Today I am in the best place I've ever been, to be honest. It's been a long road to recovery, but with loads of bumps and misdemeanors and problems in my life that I've caused through my mental health. But now I'm just got married last year. It'll be my first year anniversary next week to my second wife, and I found my best friend, and she loves and adores me from me, because I'm being 100% myself for the first time in a long time, because I pretended to be someone else that I wasn't, just to fit in society, because I didn't know how to deal with all my mental health and what I went through properly. So now, like I said, I'm in my best place ever, and I feel like I've found where I belong in this world, to be here to share my story to help others.
Okay. Intimacy, because of the sexual abuse, how was it for you in terms of intimacy?
It was hard, because I didn't lose my virginity till I was 21, 22. I was a late starter. All my friends would go out drinking 17, 18. I didn't want to go out into the world, only if I had to go to school or college and things like that. So I was a late starter when it comes to meeting women and things like that. But then I met the first,
was that a conscious or unconscious decision?
a bit of both, I think. I think I was just so scared of the real world, to be honest, and because there was so much gossip to do with our abuser from other areas, because we were born on a small island off the Kent coast called Isle of Sheppey, and so everyone knew what was going on that island, and he was in and out the papers for different things, abusing other people, peeping Tom and things like that. So his name was always in the paper. So to be associated with that person, regardless, was hard. And I thought for years that everyone wanted to beat me up because I was his son. So that played a part as well. So it was a mixture of not wanting to face the world because people might want to attack me for that, and plus obviously what I went through as a teenager, it kind of put me off meeting new people and that, because I didn't know how I'd react. I didn't know how to deal with it. So the best thing for me to do was just stay at home.
Were you ever attacked?
No, that's the thing. I was never beaten up or anything, but in my head, I assumed everyone wanted to get the crap out of me. I remember one incident at school. Some lads were in front of me down this hallway walking to a class, and it must have just been off by chance. They just turned around and started laughing, and I just assumed that they wanted to kick the crap out of me. So I ran away and hid and cried. It was probably innocent and nothing to do with me, but in my head, I just assumed that it was aimed at me.
You said your dad was in and out of the newspapers, and the word that came up to me was prolific, as it were, you know, and
Yeah.
and people knew of him and had that reputation.
Yeah.
But didn't anybody come to the house to welfare, safeguarding, etc.?
No, that was the thing. This was back in the early 80s and late 80s and early 90s, with all the charges that he had over the years, and some of them we don't even know what they were for. He went to court many times. No one ever come around to check on us. And because I found out years later, when he got arrested for what he'd done to me and my brother, that they never knew he had kids for all them years. They never assumed, so they never checked on him. That's the words they said to us when they come out and interviewed me and my brother.
I'm speechless here.
Yeah. So I've spoke to the police last year because they wanted me to come in and do a talk to their child and adult protection team. And I asked that question because it'd been burning in the back of my head for years. Why didn't anyone give a crap about us? And they said that back then there was no laws or anything like that. They didn't pursue it. But now there is a whole system out there that checks the background of every perpetrator, every criminal, and that check their family, friends, relatives, neighbours, and that they're all checked upon now. But years ago, that wasn't a thing, unfortunately.
But what about even though it's a small community in the Isle of Sheppey, what about the community?
Everyone just kept quiet, I guess. It's weird when you think about it now. Just there was obviously loads of rumours and things like that, but no one ever come forward to ask us what was going on or anything like that. And he still had his friends because he was part of the church, so they kind of protected him in a certain way. He turned to religion later on, I think, because he needed some protection, and they gave it to him.
Wow. I'm not usually lost for words, but I'm stunned here. I'm actually stunned. When did you become aware of his proclivities, as it were? How old were you when you first became aware?
Well, my mum left him when I was 11, and my brother was 4 years older than me, so he was 15 at the time. So up until then, I didn't know a lot had gone on, because the difference between me and my brother growing up, I was always outside playing football with my friends. My brother was inside all the time, so he saw a lot more than what I did. And then as years went on, you see things in the paper and that. And the worst time for me was when I was going for my GCSEs at 16. He was in the national paper because he was dressed up as Father Christmas up in Woking, and the local paper found out, and it was all over I can't remember, I think it was a Daily Star or something like that. Big picture of him, big headline, loads of write up. But what he was accused for previously and what he was known for, and he was dressed up as Father Christmas with kids.
How long ago was this? Well, you
This
were
was,
16, so
well, I'm 48 now, so this is going back 22
32.
years. Yeah, a long time ago. It was a different time back then. It's
It
hard
was.
to imagine that these things went under the radar, and it wasn't the background check or anything like that, like there is now.
Can I ask, what's your relationship like with your brother?
Unfortunately, he passed away when he was 33 from a burst aneurysm. So that was 2007. He passed.
I'm
So
sorry to hear.
it's and the thing that makes it harder. He was abused by the same person between the age of 5 and 15, and he didn't speak up for years about it. Not until I did, years after it happened to me, when I was due to get married to my first wife. I thought, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this woman, I'm going to be totally honest. And that was the first time I ever spoke about it. And she gave me the confidence to tell my mum. Then I rang my brother because he was living in London at the time. That's when I found out about him. And Kev's words to me was, and it haunts me to this day, I let it happen to me so it didn't happen to you. And I felt like I let him down. He went through all that for nothing because he still got me.
Did you talk much about it, about the abuse?
Did he? No, no, that was the only time he ever spoke about it until a few years later, after when I got married, had our first child, and then there was an incident up in Manchester. I was at work one Saturday morning. We knew he was going to Manchester. He'd already come out as homosexual, gay by then. Kev didn't change the way we still loved him.
Yeah.
And he said he was going up there to meet a friend, but the truth was he was going to meet up there with a special friend, even though he's in a relationship back in London. And then I got a call when I was at work Saturday morning from my wife saying that we've had this voicemail from Kev. I said, well, play it down the phone to me. And the voicemail was, Ryan, help me. I don't know where I am. So I said to my wife, right, ring him back. So when she rung his mobile back, it was a mention of the police. Answer said they picked him up walking the streets at 3 o'clock. He'd been date raped by 3 men up in Manchester. So we had to drive all the way to Manchester to pick him up. And that's when we started our proceedings to get SD done, because the state
Yeah.
my brother was in, all beaten up and black and blue and that, the police heard about it up in Manchester and they contacted the Kent police, and that's where our journey started of trying to get retribution and some justice.
Let's go right back. What was growing up like for you?
It was hard. I felt like I was the odd one out for years because there was a lot of tension around my brother, because my brother suffered with a lot of asthma as a child, so he got a lot of love and affection and looked after. And so I was kind of like, felt like I was on the outside all the time. So that's why I went out to my friends and played football. But I saw some things indoors, not as much as Kev. I see SD beat my mum up a few times and things like that, and threw things around the living room if he didn't get his own way. So growing up, we all learned to do whatever he wanted to keep the peace. And that kind of stuck with me for years. Yeah, for a long, long time. You know, even when I was bigger and stronger than him, I was still a little child around him. That's when, obviously, how the abuse happened, because he took advantage and I just froze, because my natural instinct was to do whatever he wanted so mum didn't get hurt.
Did you ever intervene when your dad was violent?
No, we was only young kids. We cried. I think we ran away, like run upstairs or something like that, until mum come and found us and we just hugged her.
Did you feel that love from your mum?
Yeah. My mum is still my best friend now, apart from my wife. My mum is my hero and the strongest person I ever know, because all the hell that she went through, she was still there for me when I was going through my hell, and I can never repay her enough. I'm lucky to call myself a mummy's boy, and I'm proud of that.
I'm pausing every time because I don't wish to be insensitive. And I know you said that you're an open book and we can go anywhere, but still, it's grabbed me. What you all, you, your brother, Kev, your mum, must have been going through.
It gets worse. I'm laughing because obviously I talk about it all the time, and I'm okay with that, but I can see how it's affecting you, and I'm sorry, but it does get worse.
No, don't. You've got nothing to apologise for. This is what the Hurt Lock is all about. So lead me down the path of how it gets worse.
Well, like I said a minute ago, obviously the Manchester incident, and then we come back to Kent on the Isle of Sheppey. We brought Kev back with us, and then we spoke to the Kent police next day. That's when he interviewed us unofficially, separately, and that obviously they told us then that they've been after him for years for things, but they didn't know he had kids. And Kev had to go back to London. Following a few days, I went and done my official statement. Kev hadn't done his yet, and then he was taken into hospital, Kev, because he had gastric enteritis due to he had HIV, AIDS, and hepatitis by that time. And he was in hospital for the weekend. I went to work on a Sunday morning. I rang him at 10 o'clock on the way to work, say how he's doing, and he said that he managed to keep some food and some water down, hopefully be home that day or tomorrow. I was like, oh, that's great. Love you, bro. I'll call you later. I'm off to work. Apparently 15 minutes later, they found him dead on the floor with a burst aneurysm in his head. So I got the call when I was at work from mum and said that Adam, his partner, was driving down from Greenwich to pick mum up and me to go up to Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, and driving all the way up there, they kept ringing us. And I'm thinking, this ain't right. They said, are you on your way? I said, yeah. And mum asked, I said, oh, Kev's just worrying. I knew something was bad, but I didn't want to upset mum. So we pulled up to the hospital. Adam, his partner, dropped us off. He went underneath to park the car, went up to find the ward, buzzed on the buzzer, let us in, and we could see Kev there all wired up on the bed, but the doctor took us in his office, waited for Adam to turn up. That's when they told us about what had happened. He had a burst aneurysm, and they said that basically his brain has swelled that much, it started working his way down his spinal column. And they said that, if he survives this, he unfortunately will be a complete vegetable and have to have 24/7 care. It broke me. I can't imagine how Mum felt. That was her firstborn. So we spent the night there, called our half brother, because we had a half brother from SD, but we never knew about for years because he had a relationship with someone before my mum. She fell pregnant, moved away, had the baby, moved back to the island, didn't tell anyone, had him adopted. That's another story. So we invited him from Leicester down to Chelsea Westminster Hospital, some of his friends from London, and it was the most magical and surreal night that I'll live with me forever. We all sat round his bedside, just telling stories and laughing and joking and turning to Kev and saying, "Oh my God, you dirty bastard, how could you do that?" No, just funny things that he got up to that we'd never find out. And that lasted the whole night. Then the next morning they pulled us into the room and said, "Look, we're going to do a final test, but I think we've done everything we can. Can we turn the life support machine off?" We agreed, so we all had a chance to say our final goodbyes. Then they turned it off, cleaned him up, and we went to see him again. And within 5 minutes, his body went from lukewarm, not moving, but breathing obviously through the machines, to 5 minutes later, stone cold, all the blood drained. It was hard, but then my automatic thought was, shit, what about the police? So I rang them. I said what happened, and because Kev hadn't done an official statement, they could only use his unofficial as a character witness statement. But if Kev had done his statement alone, sperm donor was looking about 10-15 years just based on his, let alone mine, and let alone others, because by that time the law had changed that they could use witnesses and evidence from other cases. So they was building a massive, big case on SD. That took about a year to build. So obviously we had our time to grieve, bury Kev, and things like that. Then 3 weeks before he was due in Crown Court, it would have been Magistrates Court and adjourned to there. I got a call one evening from a local hospital saying, "Are you Ryan Harland?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, we think you've got your dad here." I said, "Right." I said, "He's got a tumour on the brain. He's only got 24 hours to live." My first reaction was, he's trying to get out of this. He's lying. So I went up to the hospital, and the nurse spoke to me in the office, said, "Yeah, it's definitely him." I said, "Can I speak to him?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "He can't talk, but he can hear," because he was unconscious. So I went into the ward, pulled the curtain around his bed, just sat down beside him and said everything I wanted to say. And there was a lot of swear words, but obviously mutely, because there was other people in the ward that wanted to be respectful. Said everything I wanted to say, got up, walked out. And next thing I heard was next morning was he passed. And I cried, not because I lost him. I felt like I let Kev down. Kev went through 10 years of hurt, plus everything he went through after that, how he dealt with life, drink, drugs, like I did, but he was using his body as a way of getting love. So he was sleeping with random men. That's how he got his HIV, unfortunately. He passed, and then SD passed, and I felt lost. I felt like I let Kev down. And
why so?
Say again?
Why so? Why did you feel you let Kev down?
Because I felt like SD got away with it. He didn't get the proper justice or sentence that he deserved. Okay, he was away. He couldn't hurt anyone else now because obviously he was dead. But to me, that wasn't the point. I should have had that day in court. I should have seen him be sent down and knowing that he'd be rotting in jail for years and getting the justice that he deserved. But it didn't happen.
Did you feel cheated?
Yes. This is when my mental health took the biggest turn ever. We'd already had our second child by then, and I went off the rails. I had an affair that ruined my marriage. I was sleeping around with umpteen women after that. I didn't care who I hurt. I didn't care who hated me. I was just being a selfish git. Not through choice, I just could not help it. And drinking, drugs, in and out of relationships. And I picked some terrible, terrible women after that because I just felt like I deserved the worst. I didn't deserve any happiness or joy or love in life. So I was choosing any woman to sleep with. And that went on for a good 7 or 8 years.
I find it's weird. I find it fascinating. You're in a relationship, you're married, and that you've got your second child. And yet you didn't feel that you were enough.
Mm.
But you'd already made that step to seek justice, as it were.
Mm.
So that circle hadn't been, for want of a better phrase, squared
No.
off, as it were.
No. The thing is, my first marriage was never going to last anyway. We was two different people, and it was convenience, I think, because I'd always wanted deep down to be loved, and the first person who wanted to show me that love to a point that it was going to be forever, marriage, kids, I jumped at it. No disrespect for her, she gave me two beautiful girls, but since obviously that, that was 2009, the affair was, and I'm still getting punished for that now. She's still using the kids against me, but that's a different story. But even though she's moved on, had another child, got married, that's okay. But I'm still getting punished for that now.
Do you see your daughters?
No, I haven't seen my youngest since she was 12. She's 17 now, and my eldest stopped talking to me 2 weeks before my wedding last year. And I know what it is.
Why so? Why did she stop talking?
Because their mum still hates me. Her mum doesn't want me to be. Their mum doesn't want me to be happy. Because every time I got in a relationship in the past, she changed towards me. She used the kids against me, and then because I was getting married, that was the final straw. So she poisoned them kids against me. I'm not going to slam her totally because she was a good mum to a certain degree, but it's got to the point now that whatever I done, whatever I said, was never good enough, and it just got to a point that she's totally turned them against me. They don't want to see me anymore, and even my mum as well. And I think, well, what the hell's my mum done? So they haven't seen their nan for that time either.
Can I ask, when sexual abuse began, how old were you again?
I was in my late teens. I was 16, 17. And I was a tall lad then. I'm 6'4" now. So
I was just about to say that then. About to say that then. So were you fearful of SD at 16 or 17?
Oh, yeah, because like I said earlier on, whenever I was around him, I was that little kid. I was stuck as that little kid around him. And the natural behaviour was, and learned behaviour was, do whatever he wanted. So when he started things, I just froze. And I beat myself up for that for years. I thought, why didn't I do something? Why didn't I fight against it?
Why
And
didn't
then,
you?
because I froze. Because I thought if I fight against it, Mum would get it. He'll go and find Mum and give her hell. It's stupid, I know, but it was just a natural thing that we did. You know, it was just do whatever he wanted so people didn't get hurt. I've beaten myself up for years for it. And I questioned myself for years that did I ask for it? Did I give any inkling that I wanted things like this?
Most people who've been abused ask that same question.
Mm.
And the first time it occurred, in your words, how did you react?
Mm. I wish I could go back and change things, but I can't. But I've learned from it, and I never put myself in that position again. That was the last time I ever made sure I was alone in his presence. So things like that couldn't happen again. A bit of damage control, I guess.
But when it happened the first time, you didn't want to scream out to Mum or anything like that?
No, because I felt dirty, and I thought no one would believe me. It's stupid because I know all the rumours and things like that. But even still, I just felt ashamed.
And that's where the perpetrator plays on that.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Because he carried on walking around like his shit didn't stink, his nose up in the air, like, look at me, no one can touch me, and I can do whatever I want. Look at everything I've been apparently have done and got away with it, and that, I can do whatever. And we just cowered. We just hid in the corner, hid in the shadows. If only I'd done something sooner, things might have been different. Might have got justice a lot sooner, full justice. Kev would have been able to see it. Who knows? I can't think like that because obviously I can't go back. But what I can do is make sure it doesn't happen to other people. Make sure they have enough information, bravery put into them and say that you can do this, you can speak up, you can tell your truth, you can go and get the justice that you deserve. You shouldn't have had to go through it. We can't stop these things happening. I wish I could. I physically wish I could, but I physically can't. But we can help those who have been through similar to know that it is okay to talk, it is okay to speak up. And that's why I'm doing this, just to try and get some purpose for everything I've been through.
How do we empower people to be able to speak up from a position of shame, from a position of guilt, from a position of powerlessness?
By sharing our story, to sharing what we've been through and what we wish we had done and what is the right thing to do, and to be 100% honest ourselves to say, look, I've been through this hell, but I managed to pull myself out of it. You can too. All you got to do is just believe yourself and do the right thing. And don't ever think that you asked for it, because you didn't. These people are opportunists. They're narcissists. They're manipulators. They'll create any situations to work in their favour. They would create the situations to get you on your own. If that's what they want, they would do it. You're not to blame. You didn't ask for this. There's no shame in opening up. There's no shame in saying, yes, it happened to me, but I'm going to do something about it. There is people out there who will help you.
Okay. Do you think there's an added dimension and a stigma to this in terms of abuse coming from a male speaking out?
Oh, definitely, yeah. No disrespect to women, obviously they get abused as well. But if a female, this is only my perspective here, if a female gets abused, they get supported 100%. They get sympathy, and that, which rightly so. But as a male, the first thing people say to us, why didn't you do something about it? Why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? They start to question it straight away. That's what makes people don't say anything, because they feel like they're going to be not believed and judged and things like that. And that's got to stop. Every survivor of sexual abuse needs to be loved and supported.
And believed.
Yes, definitely.
And believed. And I still think, even today in our society, there's a reluctance against, for people, particularly males who've been abused, to come forward, to step forward, because it goes against all the societal stereotypes.
I totally agree with that one. It's like you're going back to the 50s, 60s, like men should have the stiff upper lip, be the strong one of the family, be the rock solid, no emotions, be the provider, be the strength, be the protector. Yes, you can still do that and still be able to show your emotions and be vulnerable and be miserable. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to show your feelings.
Okay. When was the last time you cried?
It was a couple of weeks ago, because June is always a hard month for me anyway, because it's the anniversary of my brother's death. And for the first time in 18 years this year, I finally found I was in the right place in my life to start grieving for his loss. I think I carry a lot of guilt and hatred, not towards him, a little bit, because I was angry that he left us in some respects, because I felt like I had to deal with everything as a younger brother, support mum through the funeral. I had to organise everything for that, because she was in pieces, and rightly so, because that was her firstborn. So I didn't have time to grieve, obviously doing that, plus trying to do the court case, then messed up my marriage and my journey from then. I didn't really have time to grieve. So this June was the first time I grieved in 18 years, and I put myself in counselling again, because I needed a safe space. Nothing against my wife. I wanted somewhere safe that I can vent, and no one's going to judge me for it, or not use it against me, but take offence to anything I'm saying. I just wanted to scream and cry. So I put myself in a private counselling. There was a family friend who I used to go to her for counselling. I hadn't been there for 10 years. I took myself there for one session, and I just sat there, vented, shouted and cried. And I'm not ashamed to say that I took myself back into counselling. There's nothing wrong with having that safe space to actually say what you want to say without being judged, questioned. All you want to be is heard. That's a massive thing for me, being heard. And a lot of people don't want to hear what you've got to say in society these days.
Tim's just put in the chat, 1 in 6 men have unwanted sexual experiences. There's so many people out there who don't come forward.
Yeah. And a lot of people go down the wrong road. A lot of people go down the wrong paths in life. I've done a talk out of prison before, and I shared my story. It was an open prison, and they was there for a reason, to do their time for the crimes. But hearing some of them talk to me afterwards, they've been through something similar in life. And because they didn't have that support network around them, to feel like they wanted to be heard in life, they turned to crime to feel like they belonged and be noticed.
Yes.
It broke my heart. If only they had the right people around them, or had that opportunity to speak and be heard, they might not have gone down that road.
Yes.
Or unfortunately, some people go the other way and just end their life because they feel like they're worthless. They haven't got. It's not worth talking about it because society is going to shun you as a male. So it gets too much from it, and then obviously they end their life, and it's so hard. That statistic, it needs to change.
Can I ask, what was it like when you first reached out for support?
Relief.
Go on, unpick that for me.
That was finally got that anger and confusion feeling that had been inside me for years, finally out. And I said the words, and it was relief that no one shouted back at me or said, "Oh, you're talking crap, you're talking rubbish. Oh, why didn't you do something? Why didn't you fight it off?" All the questions that I thought society were going to ask me never happened. Never happened.
Because
So
you've been preempting for years and years and years how people would respond if they heard your story. And that's interesting again in itself, because we develop an internal warped view of how we're perceived. I'm just wondering, again, it's a question. As a speaker and author and telling your story, does retelling your story help? Does it make it any lighter? Is it cathartic?
It was cathartic when I wrote the book, because I finally put everything I wanted to say out into the world. Because before then, it'd only been a select individuals. I spoke to counsellors, my ex-wife, and the police. But to put it out in the world, it felt like the final release. I was scared as well, because I thought that, I know there's going to be people out there who are going to be nasty and manipulative just because they can, not because they don't believe you, just because it's too much for them. They probably happened to them and they don't know how to deal with it, so they fight against it. So I was worried about that, but it finally freed me to a stage that I could start my own proper recovery. It was while I was going through group therapy, because end of 2016, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder from the trauma and things like that. So whilst writing the book, I was going through group therapy for that. So I was starting to learn how to reprogram the way I was always taught, my mind, and it was an interesting thing. We was told that our brain is like, you want to dig a hole, but instead of using a spade, you're using a knife or something like that. You've got the right tools, but you're using them for the wrong situations in life. So we had to retrain the way we see things and things like that. So that took a couple of years. So doing that plus writing the book, I felt like my whole life was turning around to where it should have been years ago, but I'm just a bit behind everyone else, but I'm getting there. If that makes sense.
It does indeed. When you look back over that period of self-destruction, the drugs, the booze, etc., what do you see?
I see a lost little boy stuck in a man's body, crying for help, but didn't know how to ask for help, looking for love, looking for comfort, but he couldn't get it. Okay, I had it from my mum, but being with mum still brought me back to a bit. No disrespect to her, because she didn't do nothing against us, but it was always that constant reminder. I wanted to be loved and accepted by the rest of the world, and I didn't know how to do it apart from flirting, sleeping with women, drink, drugs, being someone that I thought I wanted to be, but that was completely wrong person. instead of just being myself, I was pretending to be someone else to fit into society, fit into friendship groups, fit into relationships, fit into wherever I thought I needed to be, instead of actually looking at myself and finding out where I needed to be and where I should be, which is where I am now. But obviously, I went down the wrong path.
Have you found your tribe now?
Oh, definitely, yes. Since writing the book and starting up posting it on social media and things like that, I can't tell you how many wonderful, brilliant people I've met from around the world that want to say the same thing, are fighting for the same fighting the same fight in life to make a difference, to make a change. And the other survivors I've met, they've become friends for life. You know, we chat, we call each other, and you know, with all the friends and family I've lost over the years, from when I was started to become the person I am now, a lot of people couldn't accept it, because up until then I was a people pleaser, just to keep people in my life. So I said yes to everything. But when I started saying no, I lost a load of people. But then voids have been filled up with people who are going to be there forever, who love me and want me as me, and are happy and proud to have me in their life like I am with them. So my life now, apart from not having my girls in it, is perfect. This is where I'm supposed to be, if that makes sense. It's weird. I've thought so many times before that I was meant to go through all that crap of my life to be the person I am now. And that's how I've kind of dealt with it. You know, I've taken all that negativity and turn it into positive energy, just to propel me forward to help other people out there, so they haven't got to go through as much as what I did.
We finished the Hurt Locker. You're making yourself a cup of tea. Later, there's a knock at the door. It's 15-year-old you. What do you say to him?
I just give him a hug. Just give him a hug, hold him tight, let him feel that closest, that he's loved. Not by his mum, by the world. And just tell him that we love him no matter what. That's all he needs to hear, them words.
What does love mean to you?
I thought for years love was sexual. But now, love to me is what I have with my wife. Just sitting there, watching telly together, just holding hands, or laying in bed, give each other a kiss and cuddle, and go to bed, text each other all the time, just being there for each other. You know, we're going on holidays tomorrow, just me and her. You know, that's what love is. We do it as a team to feel like I belong somewhere and I fit. I feel like I've actually, my jigsaw piece, what was out-shaped, that didn't fit into any puzzles for them years, has finally found a puzzle that it fits into. And
I noticed a little smile on your face there as well, as you're saying that.
Because she makes me feel alive. She is definitely, apart from my mum, she is another best friend of mine. Because when we first started talking, we met on a dating site. I shunned her, blocked her for a week, because there was a different feeling inside of me that I hadn't felt before. So my natural reaction was to fight it. So I blocked her for a week. Then I unblocked her messenger. She never used it against me. Other people in the past have used my misdemeanors or my bad days against me for years in arguments to bring things up and just put all the blame onto me. But she never done that. She wanted to get to know me. She even read my book before she even met me. You know, that says a lot, and still wants you to know me. And that feeling is the feeling I never felt before, apart from the love of my mum and my girls. Obviously, it's a different type of love. But I could just sit there and we do stupid things. You know, I just sit there putting faces and that. Or I pretend I'm looking at her, then when she looks at me, I look away. And we just have a laugh. And yeah, it's the most magical it's the most magical feeling that I never thought I'd ever get. Yeah. She's probably listening to the door there again. But no, she's yeah, everything to me.
I'm sorry to go back to, well, it's not about SD, but your mum. When she first knew that had been happening to you and Kev, the abuse, what was their response?
She blamed herself. But we never held it against her because we knew that it was nothing to do with her, because she used to go and stay at her mum's one night a week when we all lived under the same house. So I'm guessing that's when it happened to Kev all them times. And obviously they split up a few years before it happened to me, and it was around his flat, and she didn't know I was going around there. So it wasn't her fault, but she still blamed herself for years, absolutely for years.
Has she had therapy?
No, she just pulled it up and just carried on with life. From a timid woman that she was when she was married to him and that, now she's a tough old nut. She really is. She doesn't give a hoot to anyone. If someone upsets her, she lets them know. She doesn't. If people don't like her, she don't give a crap. She really don't. She's completely changed. She's a tough old cookie. She really is. She's at 80 now, but and getting old and frail, but she's still a strong woman, strong-willed, and she doesn't care who she hurts, not in a physical or nasty way, but if they've upset her, she will let them know. And I think that was because she kept quiet for years with him. Because back then, she said you married for life. You know, she never had a boyfriend before she met him. She always thought she'd be left on the shelf. So I think that's why she stayed there for so long.
If you could say anything about the church, what would you say to them?
What, the people who went to his church who believed him? Yeah. I think I said everything in the book. I didn't slag them off or point any fingers, but because they turned up to his funeral, I didn't go to his funeral. I was supposed to take my nan, which was his mum, but the day of the funeral, I just couldn't do it, so I didn't go. But my uncle, SD's brother, said that all the church people there were singing his praises and couldn't believe his boys weren't there, and just bigging him up. So
even though they were aware of the abuse, even though it was out in the public domain?
It wasn't out in the domain as much, because obviously it didn't go to the court case at the Crown Court, so it wasn't even in the papers up at that point, and the book was released years after. I think if I had a chance, I'd sit them down and not shout at them or ridicule them, and just say, you were made fools. You believed someone who was so fake and two-faced, who put on that fake smile, that fake charm to please you all, but this is what it was really like. And you can believe me or don't believe me, it's up to you. But this is the truth. That's why another reason I put the book out there, because there was a certain few individuals who thought he was the bee's knees. You could say that he done all these things for the church. He was a God sent. He was this. He was that. But these people are so clever at covering up their tracks and things like that.
Has anybody come forward to apologise to you since the release of the book?
No. No. I've had loads of people saying I'm sorry. Say again, sorry?
How do you feel about that?
It doesn't bother me, to be honest. I don't need their sorries. I don't need their apologies. You know, that's their choice in life. You know, they made that. If they want to come forward and apologise and say we're sorry that we put all our faith and belief in him, then it's up to them. It's not going to change my life now that if they apologise or not. I'm too far past that now to even think about that. I just concentrate on my future, my wife's future, my family's future, and more importantly, to help other people.
Ryan, thank you.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
For people who have been in your position or are still going through, what message do you have for them?
Just reach out, speak to someone that you trust, that you know deep down that won't use it against you, or go to the police or ring the Samaritans or someone like that, so you get that opportunity to get things off your chest, and hopefully that person better help you take it to the next stage if you want to take it to the next stage. You know, it's no pressure. You haven't got to, but the first step you've got to do is to talk, to find that place that you feel comfortable enough to open up. That first time you do that, the relief is indescribable. It's all you need is just to take that first step. I'm begging you, because you don't want it to eat you up for the rest of your life and waste your best years. And then later on in life, you regret not doing it sooner.
I haven't made any assumptions with this, but did you contemplate suicide?
Yeah, I tried a couple of times. I took an overdose. I had to get my stomach pumped. I went to walk into the sea. I got dragged back. I threatened to walk out in front of a bus before. I think a lot of it for me was that cry for help. I don't think I really truly wanted to do it. I just had enough. And that's the only way I knew how to get people's attention. And it sounds selfish, and that I don't mean it like that. But that's the only thing. That's the only thing I could do to say, look, I'm here, I'm struggling. Someone help me. Ask me the right question to get me to talk.
Did anybody ever ask you what happened?
No. They probably did in some respects, but perhaps I wasn't ready to, even though I wanted to, I don't think I was ready to or brave enough to fully disclose it. But when obviously the incident in Manchester, that was my catalyst, apart from obviously telling my mum and my first wife to be at the time, seeing Kev in the state he was up in Manchester, our roles reversed, so I become the big brother. So I decided that I've got to protect him. I don't want to see him hurt anymore. That's when I'm going to talk. So it kind of took out of my hands, but in a different role. I was the older brother, even though I was 4 years younger. So that was the right time for me, but I wish I'd done it sooner, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And thank you for sharing. Because for me, I think it's important to recognise the turmoil people who've been abused go through. And that sometimes our behaviours, there's a disconnect between what we really want, what we truly want, but how we act, how we behave.
And also, I don't want anyone to compare their situation to other people's. We all deal with things differently, and doesn't mean that your trauma is less important than what I went through and things like that. Don't compare what you've been through with anyone else. Your journey is your journey. You've got to do what's right for you in the day, because there's been so many people I found over the years as well, but they compare their story to mine. I'm like, why are you doing that? Well, mine's not as bad as yours. It's not about that. It's about something that's traumatized you and has messed you up and you went down the wrong path. That's the crux of it. Don't compare mine. I'm just saying my story to say, give you some oomph to say that it doesn't matter what you've been through in life or how old you are, you can still turn it around and have a positive outcome in life. You can take that, you can kind of forgive the past, not forgive it in a way that you have to forgive it, but you can't change the past, unfortunately, but you can change your future. You define who you are. Your past doesn't define who you are. What you've been through doesn't define who you are. You're
100%.
your person.
100%. Who's the most important person in your life?
I used to say other people, but now I say me.
Do you embrace that fully?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I still have my down days, but
What percentage?
yeah,
Come on, be honest now.
75%.
75.
75%.
Okay. What would need to
Because
happen to get to 90%?
I really don't know. I really don't know. I think that because I've always been this people pleaser, it's still a part of me, and I worry about others and that. But now, because I'm putting myself front of everyone else and doing this is what's making me feel the most important thing in my life. It's going to sound weird, but I enjoy this, what I'm doing with you today and what I do with other people and what I do in the future. I love sharing my story, even though it's draining and it's hard sometimes, but I'm in charge of that. I choose when I want to speak about it. And there's some days I don't want to speak about it. I just want to be the husband,
Yes.
or the son. But this is my passion. This is what's important to me. And it's going to be important to other people as well. So I am putting myself first. So I'm guessing if I get out there more, perhaps that 75 will go to 80% or 85. Who knows? But for now, 75% is more than I've ever percentage-wise before. So that's a massive bonus. High five, tap on the back for me.
Good. Good. Ryan Harland, you've been an excellent guest on the Hurt Locker. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure. It's been Tim's pleasure. And that's a wrap.
Thank you for watching. Remember, you are not alone. If you or someone you care about is struggling with their mental health, please see the contact information in this episode's description for further support.